Hello all, and welcome to 2021. Welcome to GRA 220. Some students have asked some questions, and these typically come up in the first week in this class. They regard the Who Knew It tutorials, Photoshop, and issues about resolution, plus the focus of this week's projects, which is image adjustment layers. So I'm going to do a little video. I hope I answer your questions. And let me address first the Who Knew It videos. Now, I posted this in the general discussions, so I won't bore you with the details, but I was able to find replacements for the Illustrator tutorials, but not for the Photoshop ones. So I suggest that you Google these techniques that we're going to study this week, and keep your searches, towards venerable sites such as Adobe Zone. I have a link here to adobe.com's discussion on how to use adjustment layers, and that should be enough to get you through the assignment. Now I'm using Photoshop 2020, and I'm hoping that this is recent enough. Now the interfaces do change from version to version, but not too radically, and so this should be familiar to you. I'm going to select one of my own photographs. Now, one of the other questions commonly asked is how do we cite or give credit to our photo sources? That's an excellent credit, and I'll give you one little technique that I learned about recently. I found this photograph of Laguna Beach, California. I took a couple years ago. And I'm going to try to use it as a demo. You can use your own photography. I think one of the questions that somebody asked was, how do you give yourself credit if you use your own photo, or anybody else for that matter? And so let's address that first, because it's very important, and we'll be talking about that next week. And we can use it as an exercise in layers. And so off screen up here, I'm in Photoshop, okay? I've opened up this photograph. And off screen, I've gone up to image size, and I've come up with this dialog box. Okay, so let's take a look at it. This image, it says, is 16 by 12 inches at 300 dpi. That's adequate. That's adequate resolution. That's over and above what we need. We really want a file that is only 8 by 10 or 8.5 by 11 if you want. 8 by 10, sorry, reverse that, and at 300 dpi. So, and also we have to resample it though in order to change the resolution. So in order to come back down to 8 by 10, at 300 dpi, you have to resample it. What does that mean? It means that it compresses the file essentially, and but you can't go backwards. So just bear in mind that once that's at 300 dpi, you can't go back up to 16 inches by whatever it was, 20 inches, without suffering some consequences. Okay, so that's it for resolution. Now layers and credit. Here's the layer dialog box, which we'll become familiar with pretty soon. So to create a layer, you just, here's your layer dialog box. Hit this little icon here, it's a plus sign, and voila, you've got a layer. Here's where you can put some of your credits. I'm just going to put photo, copyright, my name, Frank Tierney, and I'll just say 2021. All right, so this is a good example of what you could call metadata. That is data about a object or image in this case that you can't necessarily see. All right, so on to adjustment layers. All right, so now that we've got our adjustment layer dialog box open here, let me just slide this over so we're not distracted. Let's say I thought this was a little garish, that the vermilion of the sunset I wanted to be a little more muted. So off screen, I'm going to go under Layer, and then I'm going to New Adjustment Layer. You can see that here, okay. And I'm going to go to hue saturation. Okay, so to try to cool that that sort of what do you call it, vermilion down. And it's going to suggest a name for the layer. So I'm going to go ahead and with the suggested name, the prompt, hue saturation, hit OK. Now, here's the hue saturation dialog box. Notice as I use these sliders, let's say I wanted to cool it down, I would slide in saturation, or hue rather, I would go away from the warm color. Oops, that's not, maybe towards cool color. You can try the obverse. It gets really wild. But I think I just want to shift it slightly towards the cool. Nothing too major. And then I want to just take the whole saturation down a little bit. If you limit the, another photo. If you limit the, if you limit the saturation to 0, you essentially get a grayscale image. Okay, that's one way of getting a black and white image. But here I just want to tone it down a little bit, and so that's good enough for me. Now watch. Here I can turn it on. Subtle difference. Keep your adjustments subtle. Try not anything too garish, or I can turn it off, and you can toggle back and forth. And I have not changed the original. The original is still intact with all its saturation. So there you go for an image adjustment layer in saturation. That would suffice for this week's project.